Hey guys, day 3 here in Mexico City. I'm here at El Bosque de Chapultepec, and today we're going to be checking out probably Mexico City's most famous museum. It's called El Museo Nacional de Antropologia, the National Anthropology Museum. It's got a lot of pre-Columbian historical artifacts, and I've just heard such great things about it, so let's go. So when I'd heard that term pre-Columbian, I was a little bit confused. I was like, what does Colombia have to do with any of this? And actually it's in reference to Christopher Columbus and essentially European colonization, and how the indigenous people prior to that time period had a thriving culture that was in many ways diminished and in a lot of ways even extinguished when the arrival of Columbus and the European colonization began. Just left the National Anthropological Museum here in Mexico, and I can definitely see why it is the most popular museum here. It is filled with so many different historical artifacts, and it talks about all the different native populations that made up Mexico prior to Christopher Columbus and the European colonization. And there's just so much cultural richness. I think we tend to think about the native people as one or two different groups, but there was just really so many groups that made up Mexico prior to that happening. What's really cool too is the sections are both indoors and outdoors. So some of the really big sections, they've recreated bits of temples and ruins. They actually recreated the biggest pre-Hispanic city in North America, which was really cool. And you see with each diverse group, their different rituals, their different clothing, their different tools, and I thought it was really, really fascinating. If you are going to come here, I recommend reserving at least 2 to 3 hours minimum. You probably could spend even a little bit more time if you like to read all the plaques and things, but if you're coming to a museum here in Mexico City, this has got to be one of them. If you are crunched for time and you only have, let's just say, 1 to 2 hours to explore the museum, I recommend picking out the sections that you want to see in advance. 3 sections that I recommend seeing are the section on the indigenous people. I think it was really interesting to see all the many diverse groups that existed prior to European colonization. I also really enjoyed the section on the Mayans and how they talked about them living on top of the mountains and how that affected their lifestyle. And lastly, I would definitely check out this section on Teotihuacan. That was super, super interesting as well. If you're crunched for time, definitely pick out what you want to see, and those are my recommendations.
Also, just outside the museum, you'll see a traditional ceremony called Danza de los Voladores, or Dance of the Flyers. It's an ancient Mesoamerican ritual, still performed today in parts of Mexico and Guatemala. 5 people climb a 30-meter pole before launching themselves into the air. The flyers are tied to the pole with ropes as they descend to the ground. Well guys, that's all for now. Do you think you'd take the plunge? If so, send this video to somebody that you take the jump with. Also, don't forget to click that subscribe button as well as the bell icon to stay up to date on all my new content. Thanks for watching guys, safe travels. I'm Robbie Frank, and as always, I'll catch you next time.